What's happening, guys? Today's video we're going to learn how to make a really great kick and bass using analog inside of Ableton, and we're going to delve into the sample that you just heard. Let's go. First things first, you want to drop in a kick that is punchy, that has a lot of drive, distortion, but is also quite short so that it can play off the bass without any phasing issues. Let's have a listen to what I have. So I actually took a kick drum loop, which I'll show you just now. Pitched it up 5 semitones, used the complex warp mode, and also, as you'll see here, I took off the tail of the first kick and looped it. That's how you got that sound, but this is what the loop sounded like before I did any of that. So, first step is find a really great kick drum that has a lot of punch, drive, warmth, saturation, has a really punchy transient, but it's also quite short. Next thing we want to do is jump into analog and create an offbeat bass pattern. So I've got this in the key of D. I've moved it on the offbeat, but I've also moved it slightly to the right, so you've got a kind of shuffle sound, which sounds like this. In terms of the sound itself, very easy to make. So we're using a sawtooth wave, driving the D tune all the way up to 3. We've got it pushed up 1 octave or up 12 semitones. We're enabling the noise function. In terms of the amplitude or the envelope setting, we've got a slow ramping attack, a short decay, and a short release. Jumping into the filter envelope section, we've brought the frequency of the cutoff filter all the way down to 86. We're using a very slight sloping attack, a short decay of 265 milliseconds, and a very, very short release. 2 things to give it that kind of sound so that it allows that short amount of sound through before the cutoff filter sweeps in and cuts the frequency. So we're boosting the freak mod envelope to 7.2 and the res mod up to 3.8. So I turn them back to nominal. Sounds like that. Turn them back up. So that's what you're getting, and it's very, very simple. You can play around with this, turn the decay out, or you can maybe even open up the frequency of the cutoff filter. So I'm quite happy with how it sounds there. That's really it. In terms of processing, I've got some very basic processing, some compression using low extender, some sidechain compression. I've got an audio effect rack here with some sends almost. Some tracks on here for reverb and delay. Quite basic. Some EQ, some tractive EQing, so taking off the low end below 31 Hz, taking out peaks at 80 and 250k. Then we've got bass mono, cutting out anything below 142 as mono. We've got a limiter, bringing down the ceiling just to get that clipped into the right domain volume wise. And finally we've got a Kickstart 2 plugin just to really hone that sub frequency, because you could hear it was a little bit loose. This Kickstart plugin on the end really tightens that up and helps it play off the kick. So playing our kick and the offbeat bass together. That's the sound that we get. Now, we could probably get away without the audio effect rack sounds. But that's what you're getting. Now notice, if I was to bring this back to here, but then if I move it to the right again, you get a slightly more jacking and swinging movement. You can use your groove setting as I have here, but I just wanted to accentuate that kind of head bop motion by moving this note further to the right off the grid. It's just a case of balancing and blending these together and mixing them, and that's what I've done. We're running into a SSL 4000G, using this preset to work back from, drums plus smash B. So we're cutting off below 20k, cutting above 12k, or 20 hertz rather, and cutting above 12k. We're just leaving the compressor at the preset setting. And then we've dialed in a little bit of EQ, so some top end, some high mids, notching out some low mids, and then a tiny little notch down at around 90k. And again, we're using the limiter to kind of clip and bring down the ceiling, which we did after as part of all the mixing process. But you can hear that noise in the background, which is coming from, I think it's coming from the console here on analog mode. So that's basically it. Let's just jump into some of the processing on the drum bus. We're using full compression, Attack of 1, Release 6. We've got a Pultec compressor, Pultec EQ. Very, very basic stuff. Punching up 60k, bit of attenuation, boosting 8k, bandwidth of 5. Very, very stereotypical use of the Pultec EQ for low end. We're using the LA2A to just limit and catch the peaks, which isn't even really doing anything, to be honest. And this was left on here, but arguably probably don't even need it. We're using the black box just as a final finisher. And that is how we got to the sound that you hear now. Obviously there's Mixbus plugins, but that gives you the idea. Now, as always, what I like to do is get the audio into, get the sounds into audio, and I've created a track here and recorded in different takes. The take that you heard in the sample before is this. So I've just recorded one section because there is some slight movement in the bass, and I wanted it to be the same every time. I've also recorded in a couple other takes here, so let's just listen to them. It's just a little bit of a different tone on the kick drum. So a kind of mixed bag of different recordings. I've chosen low end 8 here. A little bit of processing here from EQ8 that I've went into afterwards just to balance everything. So taking a little bit of a low end dip and then worked on around the 346k area and also the 346 hertz area and the 3k area, just to mix the kick drum and mix this sound in with the rest of the track. And that is basically how you get to the sound. Of course, you can get very creative with this, guys, if you want. Maybe you want it to leave it as a loop, and maybe you want to change the sound a little bit more. So jump into the filter envelope. And maybe you want to change it to a square wave. Changing different parameters for a different sound. get the idea. Hopefully this has been of interest to you. You can take this into your own production. If you have any questions, guys, post below. Catch you in the next one.